Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, June 19th, 2016. It's a beautiful day for a soap giveaway, but first, let's talk about our soap. First soap, then soap. And of course, by that I'm gonna have to start with the juiciest part of the week, which to me had to be Billy and Phyllis. I mean, first of all, starting out, I'm fully aware in realizing that when I talk about this, I'm probably gonna make half the people angry and half the people are gonna agree. But my overwhelming thought about Phyllis and Billy and Jack is that no matter where we stand on how good the chemistry is between Billy and Phyllis, or how wrong it is that Phyllis is cheating on Jack, I think that this has turned out to be a really great storyline. I think it's tight. In fact, I think there are three reasons that really make this a good storyline. The first being that it's controversial. Maybe it's just me, but I like storylines that get us talking, that get us kind of revved up. I mean, you can have any range of emotions and opinions about what's going on with Billy and Phyllis, and that's kind of the point. If Y&R were just everybody happy and satisfied and getting along, it would be totally boring. But this is something we can really sink our teeth into. I think it's fun. I think it's fun to do it. The second reason why I think that it's a successful storyline is that it is character redefining or character defining, because let's face it, we're in the middle of both of the characters of Billy and Phyllis having been recast. We're not dealing with Michelle Stafford's Phyllis. We're not dealing with Billy Miller's Billy. This is what we've got. This is who the characters are being portrayed by now, and I think that this is giving us a good sense of who those characters are, where we are today. Frankly, I don't know if I would see Michelle Stafford's Phyllis getting involved with Jack's brother. For some reason, I think that created a block for me at the very beginning, because it's hard to imagine Michelle Stafford going out of her way and going through all of this guilt. Like, it's just, right now we are here with the Gina Tognoni version, and even thinking about it, I think it was earlier in the week that Summer had, or maybe it was later in the week, Summer had made a comment to Luca about all of the crazy things that her mother did to keep Daniel and Amber apart, and creating these photos and all. Like, I don't even see that being the current Phyllis. It makes complete sense that it would be Michelle Stafford, but Gina's version of Phyllis is almost more subtle and sophisticated in the ways that she manipulates and does these terrible things. It's just different. And of course, I could list probably for an hour all of the ways that this version of Billy is much different from all of the previous versions of Billy. I mean, that scene between Billy and Bethany where he hikes up her dress, I'm sorry, but to me that blew my mind back, and especially in the sense of, this is not Billy Miller. This is not Burgess Jenkins, okay? This is a totally different guy. And this storyline, this Phyllis and Billy affair storyline, is what's kind of given us this glimpse. We can't go back in time and make those characters come back. This is kind of what we're dealing with now, and I think that Y&R has done a good job of defining both of these characters as new within this set of story. And I guess the final reason I think that it's a successful storyline is just that it's positively dripping in daytime drama. This is a soap opera, folks. This is kind of why I like soap operas in a way. It's a little bit fun, I'm not gonna lie, to watch other people do these terrible, scandalous things and sit back and just go, and just judge them. Oh, I love judging them. It's just something about this that feels so quintessential. I mean, the wife having the affair with the husband's brother, that is daytime. I mean, it could certainly be on another nighttime drama, but there's just something about it that just feels like, all right, we're on track at least a little bit as far as I know what show I'm watching. I'm not watching a courtroom drama or whatever. To me, that's not what soaps are about, even though they encompass those types of stories. To me, this is something that just feels very soapy, and I like that. And I think that for the most part, you guys are liking it too. I was shocked with this week's poll results because it was Philly or Fack is the basic question here. Whose side are we on? Do we want Phyllis with Billy? Do we want Phyllis with Jack? 49% said Phyllis and Billy all the way. Can you believe it? I don't know if the Philly fans just came out in droves or what, but 34% were in Camp Fack, and they, I think, for the most part, have been the more vocal of the two. The Philly fans came out to vote, but the Fack fans are like, I have an opinion. And of course we had 16% that just said neither. Forget it. Let's move on from these couples. I honestly, I would personally choose Jack. If it were me and I was Phyllis, I think Jack is a wonderful husband. I would take Jack. But then again, I'm not a risk taker. Maybe that's why I like when soaps are like this, because then I can just kind of, I don't know, it's not really living vicariously, but it's a little bit fun to watch these people on screen do things that I would never do in real life. I would be grateful for having such an awesome husband like Jack, who loves me and worships me and wants to do everything he can to make me happy, who respects me. I mean, Jack is just so open and loving toward Phyllis, especially right now. I know that I would choose him, but it also makes sense to me that Phyllis, and who Phyllis is as a risk taker, would be drawn in by Billy. That feels consistent with her character to me, and wrong or right, probably wrong. It makes sense to me also that this particular version of Billy, and what we've seen since that recast, Billy wants what Jack has in every way. Up to and including his wife. It was alluded to this week. Jack actually said that. I understand what you're going through, Billy. You just want what Phyllis and I have. Yeah, that's exactly what he wants. I think Billy has felt sidelined by Jack. I think probably we could make the argument that Billy has felt that he's in Jack's shadow for a number of years. So this is a little bit, I think maybe at least at first, the idea popped into Billy's head probably because he was ticked off at Jack. So, I mean, I feel like it's starting to make sense why we are where we are. I think the only reason that Billy and Phyllis even toyed with the idea of telling Jack about their affair is because they know that Jack won't forgive her, that Jack won't forgive him, but specifically that this is going to ruin his marriage. I mean, I think Billy and Phyllis at this point secretly just want to be together free and clear. I think they want and are looking for an excuse to be together free and clear, because why else tell Jack if the goal isn't to be together? To lighten their conscience? Yeah, right. I don't think so. The truth has consequences. Jack is not going to just forgive and forget that his brother and his wife slept together. And at this point, the problem in Jack and Phyllis's marriage is not just that she slept with Billy. It's that she still wants to sleep with Billy, that she can't stop thinking about sleeping with Billy. And that is not going to fizzle out. If it hasn't fizzled out at this already, it's not going to fizzle out now. So there's no hope for Billy and for Jack and Phyllis's relationship. She's already tried going back to him and pretending like things are normal, and she couldn't do it. So there is no going back. There's only going forward. And so to me, I think they both know that, even if it's subconsciously. So, I mean, why even bother to tell him? Or if they tell him, either have your affair and don't tell him, or tell him and let the chips fall where they may and accept it. But as Phyllis is preparing to have this conversation with Jack, it had this air of, okay, I'm going to tell Jack and everything's over with Billy, so it's okay. But they both know damn well that it's not over between them. I mean, Phyllis sits down to tell Jack, we have this big fake out. I suppose I should have known that it was a fake out from a mile away because we saw a preview of it on Monday's show. It was like kind of a imagination sequence where Phyllis imagines what it would be like to have a talk with Jack and tell him the truth. And I should have known, especially because it just all happened so fast. She sat down to tell him everything, and it was just like boom, 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 just one right after another. And Jack had this an incredible look of betrayal on his face, and it had kind of like a fast build up to Jack all of a sudden becoming completely enraged and ready to kill Billy. I thought that was interesting, that Phyllis was in that moment imagining the worst case scenario of how this could go, and it wasn't, I'm gonna leave you. It's, I'm gonna kill Billy. That is what stopped her from telling him the truth. I think she was, in her mind, worried that she was going to destroy their relationship and that Jack was going to go, I don't know, beat up on Billy or something. It was the fear of that reaction that ultimately made her chicken out. So what does she do? Of course, rather than actually telling Jack the truth, she goes and sleeps with Billy again. She sleeps with him again. I mean, these are two people who obviously now just want to have their cake and eat it too. So it's not just one time we slept together. It was just one time and it'll never happen again. Now they are sleeping together. Oh my. It is just too scandalous for my faint of heart. But of course I watched every minute of it. And lapped it up. I mean, literally, she was still in her bra and panties on the couch. They must have just finished having sex. And who's ding-donging at the door? Jack. Oh, I feel like Billy went to the door to answer and he was still buttoning up and everything. I couldn't believe it. I mean, these two people, it's the risk. I think that's what they're drawn to. I think you can really put a lot of Billy and Phyllis's attraction for one another under the umbrella of risk, because as Billy had mentioned later in the week, he doesn't really know that much about Phyllis. These aren't two people that have known each other for years and years, and now it's just a natural, slow progression that they would want to develop a romantic connection. No. It's really not that. It really is the naughty factor, the sexy factor, which makes it all the more stinging for Jack. I mean, oh man, what timing. I just can't believe it. Jack shows up at the door. Phyllis has to go run and hide off in another room and listen to their conversation. And it feels clear to me that she's leaning toward Billy at one point. Like, she's really fighting the fact that it's more, I mean, it is, the sex is what drew them together initially, but Phyllis seems like she's become really emotionally interested in Billy, and every word Jack says is just innuendo. Everything he says has this double meaning all week. I mean, it makes the betrayal all the more scathing. The fact that he's doting on her and talking about what a great relationship he has and what a great wife he has and how Billy will find someone like Phyllis someday. All of it. It just makes Jack look like the world's biggest chump. It is hard to watch. It is probably the worst part of it all. I mean, you could take just the Billy and Phyllis affair and enjoy it on its own. It's really Jack, and watching how much he loves her and how completely unaware he is that makes it, that really kicks it up a notch when it comes to driving in the dagger. I mean, the man leaves Billy's house and he goes off to go plan a romantic evening for he and Phyllis. Or no, it wasn't an evening. I'm sorry. It was like a weekend getaway. I think it was big. Yeah, he called a travel agent. They were going to go on a trip, and he's, going to do the whole 9 yards of romance. And he gets all excited. He presents it to Phyllis, who again has just come from sleeping with his brother, like probably 5 minutes ago. She probably still has Billy's cologne on her, and she's sitting at the table at the dive bar with Jack, who's proposing this romantic weekend, and she turns him down. Not only just, I don't really feel comfortable going on a romantic weekend right now. No. Phyllis turns Jack down and his romantic weekend to go have a naughty, sex-filled affair weekend with Billy. Couldn't believe it. When she made the phone call, she turns Jack down and then goes to take a phone call to Billy and says, yeah, I was actually kind of thinking that you and me could hook up for the weekend. I just about died. I couldn't believe it was happening. Like, now it's an affair from Monday to Friday. Billy and Phyllis's relationship went from, okay, we're really attracted to each other and we had sex once, but we're going to tell Jack it's over, to like now they're sneaking around. It is salacious. Oh man. And then also to add just another little bit of insult to injury, did you guys notice that Billy canceled his weekend with his son to be with Phyllis? Y&R didn't have to write that. Billy could have been free that weekend for some reason, and I think it's very strategic in forcing the fans to understand and have controversy about this storyline that Billy specifically kind of blew off his son to have this affair weekend with Phyllis. I mean, I think we're supposed to react to that. I think, if we're mad about this story, we're playing right into Y&R's hands, which is great. I think we should be. I think maybe even more like shocking was the fact that it ended up being, I guess I assumed Billy and Phyllis were gonna go away for a weekend, but they ended up just having this little picnic on the floor at Billy's mansion, and it was so awkward. I'm not gonna lie, because I think Phyllis had this overwhelming feeling that she shouldn't be there, yet she wants to get to know Billy. Billy wants to get to know her, and that's where he said, I guess we really don't know each other, and so they just try to have some small talk, try to be kind of cute. There was a certain way that Phyllis was looking at Billy, almost like, I think it was when he was kind of talking about brash and sassy, and Phyllis is looking at him, and she's kind of blinking her eyes, and her hair is kind of blown back, and she's getting real close up in his face, and you can tell that she's trying to be her most charming self. You can tell that she's almost trying to use her whatever womanly tricks a woman has up her sleeve. You know what I'm talking about, ladies. You have that kind of, when you're just trying to be sexy. And she was doing that with him, kind of cooing at him, trying to be charming, like it was a date. And it just felt so weird. And I just thought, it almost felt like she wanted Billy to look at her the way that Jack looks at her. Well, you already have Jack looking at you like that. I mean, you don't really need two men worshiping the ground that you walk on, or maybe she does. Maybe her personality is just more and more and more. And, it's all consuming. It must all be about Phyllis. I don't know. But I just thought, Jack is the one who's giving you all that affection. Jack is giving you pretty much everything you could ever possibly need in a relationship, and yet here you are. And she must have realized it at some point or throughout, because, literally, the guilt was just hanging in the air. And maybe it was all from Phyllis's end, because frankly, I don't feel the pull of guilt from Billy the way that I do from Phyllis. I don't know if, of course the betrayal is probably bigger on her end. I don't know. I don't know which is worse, what Billy's doing or what Phyllis is doing, or if they're equal. But I just, I could tell, and I'm sure you could tell, that it was hard for her to escape and pretend like this is a normal date when she just felt so guilty. And that's sort of another departure of where I feel like the Gina Tognoni and Michelle Stafford versions of Phyllis really kind of, they part ways, because I feel like Michelle Stafford, if she was in her version of Phyllis, if she was gonna have the affair, I think she would just have the freaking affair. I mean, Gina's version of Phyllis is like more back and forth. I'm not sure about myself. Look, I mean, if you're gonna have a naughty affair weekend, at least own it. You're there, Phyllis. You've already completed the lie with Jack. You're sitting on the living room floor with Billy, all snuggled up next to him. You might as well do what you came there to do, and for crying out loud, by the way, get out of town to do it, will you? I mean, anybody could walk in at absolutely any time. We saw the preview from Monday's show where Ashley is going to come rapping at the mansion door, as I'm sure they're in the middle of a compromising situation. So it's just like, hello, how many people have to knock on that door for you to learn this lesson? At least go to Montreal, which is where she told Jack that she was going to be meeting with some business people. At least then you would have the plane ticket as evidence. It's just so easy to get caught. It's almost like Billy and Phyllis just want to get caught. Like they just want it off their chests so that the chips can fall and they can just be together and do what they want. But I ask you, would it be as hot if everybody knew? I mean, are they gonna find that once the truth comes out and it's no longer illicit, maybe it's not gonna be as hot to either of them? So they better start getting to know each other quick. I mean, the love and all of it better start getting there to make what's gonna happen next all really, really worth it. And I think it's gonna be worth it no matter what for the fans when it all comes out. You know you're gonna be watching the show that week when the truth finally comes out, Jack finally comes out, you're gonna be glued to your screen. It's gonna be amazing. I mean, it makes me glad that Y&R did not blow up the storyline this week, like on Monday, with a simple confession, because simply and purely for shock value, the drama queen in me hopes that Billy and Phyllis continue their affair and ultimately Jack walks in and finds them. I kind of want Jack to find out about the affair and then of course, turn around, like divorce her, disown him, and make them all pay. I kind of would like it if maybe, just maybe, Jack getting betrayed in this way could lead to like the return of scheming Jack. Ugh, how can Y&R just throw away the amazing chemistry between Ashley and Dr. Neville? I feel like that could have been Ashley's big romance that she hasn't had in years and years and years, and Y&R's just not letting it happen. I don't know why they didn't pursue it. Ashley and Neville could have been hot together right away. We should have kept on down that line and we just didn't, and now it's fizzled. And I'm so disappointed that Michael E. Knight's going to be leaving the show. And even I saw little bits of their chemistry this week as Ashley completely takes the heat for him. I mean, the police were ready to arrest him for falsifying or pushing through and bribing the test results for the drug trial. And Ashley just says, nope, I did it. She gives a full confession, which obviously Dylan didn't believe. I hope that doesn't result in some kind of long trial or something for her. I hope we don't actually see the repercussions of that, because I just don't want to. But I did like the fact that, she kind of got protective of Neville. He was really grateful to her. It gave me just a glimpse of that chemistry, maybe one more time. And then Ashley turned around and used that whole thing as blackmail on Hilary. That was beautiful. She said, you know what? I just took the heat for what you actually did, and so now you are going to step out of the drug trial, completely stay away from that business, and you're also, as a matter of fact, gonna stay away from my brother Jack, where I'm gonna tell the world that it was actually you and you were involved, which I thought was a great twist, a great way to completely keep Hilary in check. I mean, now she's lost or is losing the two things that she really wanted the most, those two businesses that she wanted to be involved with the most. But I tell you, I am really surprised at the slow roll of implication with a relationship, we'll just call it that, between Hilary and Jack. I mean, hey, if we're gonna see the return of scheming Jack, if you pair that with scheming Hilary, I don't know what we're gonna get. I mean, Y&R had kind of implied several weeks ago about Hilary and Jack, and there was kind of, Lily mentioned it last week, and we had the fainting spell, and this week all of a sudden I'm thinking, is Y&R really going here? Is something gonna happen between Hilary and Jack? And so I think that is a perfect poll question for this week. What do you guys think? Are Hilary and Jack on the verge of a romance here? Is that where we're heading? Because I just can't believe it. I was ready to write it off, but maybe we are. YRChat.com if you'd like to cast your vote and let me know if you think, are we actually going there with Hilary and Jack? Because I completely forgot that she kissed him, but there was a moment early in the week where Jack kind of acknowledged it. He sort of pulled, the elephant, decided to address the elephant in the room and say, yeah, I kind of remember when you kissed me, and it was, well, let's not do that. Let's not make it about that. But at the same time, Jack seems to really trust and understand Hilary in a world at a time where nobody else does. And true, maybe Hilary is manipulating that trust. I mean, it may very well be that anything Jack sees in her that's good, she is just sort of worming her way around, and Jack isn't able to see it. I mean, for crying out loud, Jack can't see the affair that's happening right under his nose. He's certainly not going to see that Hilary is manipulating him. But I mean, I think the effect is the same. Hilary and Jack seem to at least have a friendship, if not more, as she told him this week. The only person she's told outside of Dr. Neville and Ashley, who had to know, about her illness and that she is getting sicker and sicker. And I thought that was interesting that she chose to confide in him rather than her husband. And she certainly doesn't have any friends, but her husband, I would think, would be the person she would tell, because it's starting to become more obvious. The tremors are getting stronger, which, by the way, I loved the scene up on the dive bar where Hilary was threatening Dr. Neville to find the cure to make her better as her hand is tremoring. I mean, there's something about the delivery that the actress gave us that was so vicious and yet so weak and frail at the same time. I love Hilary so much. I just, every week I love her more and more. And I mean, the actress specifically, I just thought that was a really great performance and delivery. So she's getting sicker and sicker, and she's fighting with everything she has in her, which, by the way, is a lot, to not be sick. And at the same time, it's more and more lies. It's more and more things that she kind of has to cover up and be weird about with Devon. He's becoming suspicious. Lily and Kate have mentioned to Devon on more than one occasion that not only is Hilary manipulative, but she's also got eyes for Jack. And there was a moment in the hotel room where Devon glanced back and saw Jack steadying Hilary's hand for a tremor, but what Devon saw was Jack holding his wife's hand right behind his back. And it seemed like Hilary was able to smoochy, sexy her way out of it. But I don't know. Did that just erase what Devon saw in his mind? Or is he still keeping that one under his hat? And is he still being aware that his wife could actually be up to something? Because Meanwhile, by the way, Lily and Kane seem to be working on a plan to take her down. And I don't know if it's gonna work or not. And I mean, so I guess then it sort of leads us back to our question about Hilary and Jack. Are Hilary and Jack going to like both find themselves single and ready to mingle at the same time? I don't know. I don't know. And if so, how do you feel about it? So I'd like to get some comments about that at yrchat.com this week. Not just the poll results, but let's just see how people would even be feeling about Jack and Hilary. So if you have an opinion on that, let me know. By the way, Ashley is going back to Jabot. She decided, since she's got to obviously be out of the drug trial, she'll have charges pending. Why not go back to the family business? And I mean, I don't know why you'd want to bring that scandal into your family business, but okay. And you know, I guess the thing that bugs me about it is, yes, I'd like to see Ashley back at Jabot, but it's like a sure sign to me that it was goodbye Neville for a while now. Okay, so nobody bought my theory about Travis being Gabriel Bingham. I must have got like 24 comments and calls and messages saying, well, wait a minute, Allie, if Travis is the real Gabriel Bingham, the real Gabriel Bingham is supposed to look like Adam, because Adam had plastic surgery to look like the real Gabriel Bingham. Okay, you got me on a technicality. I will give it to you there. But at the same time, why should we let a little thing like reality or storyline consistency get in the way of our fun speculation? I don't know. Tori and Travis are cute together, though. I will give it that. I liked at the beginning of the week that she confronted him about his Wall Street past, and she let him have it. I thought she was very cute during that scene, and frankly, he explained himself very well. If he was telling the truth about who he is, then they actually have a lot in common. I mean, Travis's response was, yeah, I was a Wall Street guy. I worked really, really hard for a lot of years, and then all of a sudden I had this realization that I didn't really like myself. I didn't really like my life. And that's something that I'm pretty sure that Victoria could identify with, especially at this point where she is. She has found being at the top, sitting in Victor's chair, to be very unsatisfying. So that's just another thing that Tori and Travis have in common. And also his answer, his explanation about the Wall Street thing was pretty perfect. I mean, he essentially said, look, that was then, and this is now. I am not my job, I'm not my bank account, and I'm not my name. And it's another thing that I think really kind of endeared Victoria to him. I mean, they ended up having this cute little moment where they decided they were gonna go steady. And then Victoria paraded him around town a little bit, which was fine. You know, it's kind of a long overdue. Victoria and Travis have had this in the shadows, dingy bar, must keep it quiet kind of relationship for weeks now, and I liked that she pulled him out into the light and said, yeah, here he is. You know, here's my man. I'm going to introduce him to my family. I'm going to take him to my office, show him around. I was really annoyed that Summer got all judgmental about Victoria. First of all, saying, oh, well, she's with this guy. Maybe that's why she's showing up late to work. Who are you to tell Victoria Newman what her business schedule is? Thank you. She's the CEO of the company. And you've been gone for a couple weeks anyway. You don't know what she does. You don't know what her job description really is. She's just coming out of left field, getting all judgmental with Victoria about who she's dating when everyone's doing the same thing to her with Luca. Summer, it's real hard to like her. It really is sometimes. And the way she was grilling Travis, and it was just awkward, I didn't like it. Maybe Luca's rubbing off on Summer. I don't know. Luca, at the same time, he corners Victoria and says, what are you doing with this guy? He was behind the oil leak. I mean, Luca still thinks that Travis had something to do with the oil leak, which I don't think is true. For some reason, it doesn't want to. He did pick up the report on her desk. He goes to her office and he picks up the report, and and sees that the report is trying to pass off the oil leak as being a third-party problem, and he immediately somehow magically knows that it wasn't third party, that it was Newman's fault, and he makes a comment about it that makes Victoria, takes her aback and kind of, I think, makes her revise the report, and that is a little bit suspicious, but for some reason I feel like if Travis is up to something, I don't know if it's the oil leak. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm dying here because I do have a suspicious mind, and I'm always, I think, looking for the next twist. I cannot help myself, and I do still have the feeling that he's up to something, you know, like he's still not being completely honest. And while I'm looking for twists, would I guess, you know, in favor of Travis having something to do with the oil leak, wouldn't it be a weird twist if Luca was actually right about this one? Well, my suspicious mind really led me on a wild goose chase when it came to Sage's diary. Oh, I love speculating about who could have done what, and then it just turns out to be something right in our face all along. So, Victor forged Sage's diary, or he had Sage's diary forged, which, like, there goes all of our fun theories about who could have forged it. That's so disappointing. But there's still, it's just such a big question mark in my mind still, because basically what we had was Victor lying on his cot in solitary, remembering this conversation that he had with this young girl, I took it as, in the little conference, in Victor's conference room. He's having a conversation where he's slyly trying to convince this person, this woman, this girl, I don't know, to have the diary forged, and he even gives her the exact information that he wants the diary to say, which, don't they record these conversations? Are there not like video cameras and recorders in that room? You can't just go like playing in a crime in a jail and nobody's gonna notice. I mean, are Paul and Dylan gonna search that surveillance footage, or that, you know, how long is it gonna take them to track down this lead, really? And Wyatt definitely tried to lead us on a wild goose chase with that one too, because they barely talked much about who could have forged it. I mean, it was all about Constance's body for the last couple of weeks, so they were teasing me on this one. But I guess Victor just forged the freaking diary. We had this creepy shot of him after it was all revealed. He's like laying on his cot looking up at the ceiling, and we see this shot of his face, and he just looks like he's relishing the revenge. I mean, unless it was all a dream for him, was it a memory? Was it a dream? I don't know, but it looked to me like he was remembering it and real happy with himself, which, it never ends with him. It never ends. There's only one freaking person who hasn't seen it yet, I think, and that's Meredith. I mean, Meredith tries all week to try to go talk to Victor. She even goes to Paul and Christine on his behalf and offers to testify against Adam when she don't know nothing. She doesn't know anything. It makes no sense. She has no evidence. All she has is what Victor has told her. She's so convinced of his innocence, and especially now that we saw this flashback scene, it just makes Meredith look like an even bigger fool. I mean, in the early part of the week, the warden came and talked to Meredith and kind of I think was maybe aware of how hard she was trying to arrange a meeting with Victor, and he says to her, I think maybe you need to beware of what you're doing. You're a really smart lady, but frankly, Victor Newman is not someone that you need to trust. He's here for a reason, because he's a criminal. And I just thought, wow, that was kind of an apt warning just right off the bat. It sort of made sense to me, like a fair point. I thought Victor being in prison was going to somehow lead to the redemption of his character, and instead it just is more of the same. Ugh. It's not good. It's not good. And when are we going to get out of jail, by the way? I'm sick of the prison blues. And I don't want Adam to go there too. At this point in the story, Adam thinks that his goose is cooked. He thinks he's done. And he's got so much hanging on the word of Ian Ward. The only witness that he has, the only evidence or anything that he has in his case for murder and Constance is a criminal who lies a lot and is really unpredictable. So Adam goes to Ian and he actually says, you know, rather than having you go to the stand and then just blow everything up or try to create your own escape plan like while you're being transferred, why don't you let me help you? How about I help you with the escape plan that you're obviously working on, and then in exchange for your testimony, I'll help you get away. Which again, aren't the conversations in this jail taped? You cannot just sit there and help a prisoner plan to escape. And nobody notices it. I don't know. I think the more interesting part of this storyline is kind of the slow unraveling of the trust between Adam and Chelsea. That's the part I'm interested in, because Adam had a moment during the week where he really didn't want to tell Chelsea why he went to go visit Ian. He didn't want to tell her that he was offering to help him escape, and she was pleading with him to just be honest and saying, you sound exactly like Victor, as Adam is telling her, I don't want to do it for your own good. And that really rang true to me, because think of all the times that Victor's done something terrible and Nikki has pressed him about it and he just says, I'm not telling you for your own good. And that's kind of the line that Adam gave Chelsea, which was a little bit disparaging. I was glad that he finally did tell her the truth, because the main difference, I think, between Victor and Nikki's relationship and Adam and Chelsea's relationship is respect. I mean, frankly, I think that Victor still and always has kind of just seen Nikki as the stripper that he pulled out of the rough. I know, I'm just mad at Victor this week, because normally I like Victor and I do love Victor and Nikki's relationship, but sometimes in the back of my mind I think he doesn't respect her and he doesn't respect her opinion, whereas Adam did say, okay, you're my equal and we're in this together and I want to share the truth with you. That's something Victor never would have done. I love the love between Victor and Nikki, but he doesn't treat her well. Gosh, I don't know. By the way, this isn't the first time the issue of trust and honesty has come up between Adam and Chelsea, even just lately. And there was this great little moment between Michael and Chelsea when they were alone talking about the case, where Michael got up close and he said, look, the only thing I need, the only thing that's really important in this case is reasonable doubt. But he says to her, it's doubt. You know, doubt is everything. And of course, he's talking about making the jury doubt the veracity of the evidence, but the look on Chelsea's face said she's got some reasonable doubt about her husband. The return of Ghost Sage was really fun this week. I was waiting for it to show up and I loved it. The first flash we got of Sage was just kind of quick as Sharon came out of a dream, but then later Sharon had this nightmare where Mariah rushes into the house and says there was this car wreck and there was a baby involved, and we realize that it was a dream, and Sage walks in the door as the car wreck victim. She's got this bloody face. Mynar's playing this really creepy background music, and then Sage just looks at Sharon and says, I will haunt your nights until you make this right. It was especially scary. It felt like I was watching a horror movie or something. And Sharon, of course, we flash out of the nightmare sequence and we see she's really in bed with Dylan saying, I'm sorry, Sage, I'm sorry, Sage. And of course, Dylan wakes her up out of this nightmare and she quickly covers it up, saying she was dreaming about the accident, but Dylan knows something's wrong. Nick knows something's wrong. Everybody knows that something is wrong with Sharon. And I was glad that Nick took a little bit of initiative this week to try to find out what it was. He wants Sharon to be able to confide in him. And it kind of made me really love Nick this week. And it kind of made me really miss Sharon and Nick this week. I liked the intimacy that those two had, and I just know that it's not gonna go back to ever being the same between them once the secret is out. Sharon is really screwed when the secret comes out because both Dylan and Nick are gonna be done with her. I don't think there's really any forgiveness, no matter how rationally she explains it. I mean, I think certainly maybe Dylan has a better chance of forgiving Sharon somehow than Nick. I mean, Nick just gets that temper going, and he can't see anything but it. Dylan seems a little more understanding and rational, but I don't know. I just think they're both gonna abandon her. Nick and Dylan did have kind of a nice little brotherly moment this week talking about Sharon, and obviously both wanting to help her, but neither of them really knowing what they can do, and certainly not knowing what the truth is behind why she's acting so weird. Oh my gosh, you guys. Esther's little speech. Esther bumbles in after Nick has had this conversation with Sharon and Dylan and sees him alone. So Esther's just standing over Nick's table, and she all of a sudden bumbles in with this wisdom. And I am not gonna lie, it actually made me a little bit teary. She's standing there talking about what it was like losing Catherine and what it was like losing Delia, and in the moment you cannot believe that the world is still going on while you've lost something so important to you, and then all of a sudden you realize this is your life and you have to move on too. And I'm telling you, that woman has not made me cry a single teardrop in 20 years, and for some reason this week it just struck me. I couldn't believe what a tender, wonderful moment that was between them, and it actually prompted Nick to call Dylan and approve the exhumation of Constance's body. So now that we know the diary was forged, the second test will probably vindicate Adam, especially if they're kind of doing it in private. I can't imagine they're gonna not pay attention to who's handling the lab samples this time around. So I'm assuming Adam is going to be completely off the hook. I don't know where this leaves Victor. I mean, rotting in prison, nothing learned, nothing gained? Probably. One more quick note that I can't forget to mention. Living with Sharon has been like a really negative experience for Mariah. It has not been good for her. Mariah seems to me like a person who kind of wants to be better, kind of wants to be honest and do the right thing. And now Mariah is actually trying to convince Sharon not to tell the truth to Nick. I mean, we've seen her do that on a number of occasions. It's like Mariah's been so submersed in Sharon's frame of mind and Sharon's thinking, and it feels like it's beginning to affect Mariah too. Mariah is becoming almost like this mini paranoid version of Sharon. She's just as cagey. And Kevin came by for a visit this week. Well, and by the way, I feel like Kevin is leading her on. I mean, he apparently either Natalie has moved in with Kevin or she's spending a lot of time at Kevin's house, and there was some sort of implication from Mariah that I don't want to come over to your house while you're doing bone jumping with Natalie. And he was very quick to say there's no bone jumping, almost as if like, oh no, we're not having a romantic relationship, when they clearly are. And I thought Kevin made his choice. If he wants to be with Natalie, then be with Natalie and make it really clear to Mariah that you're friends. And I don't think he's done that. I think that I appreciated that he was saying to her this week, you can trust me, Mariah. I want to help you. And I believe that part of it 100%. I just wish he was more clear with her about the terms of their relationship. And he acknowledged, yes, we've had some trouble defining what we really are to each other, but then be open about it. Don't be shady and don't skirt around it. Just say it. Say, I'm with Natalie right now. That's all I'm looking for him to say. But he tells Mariah that he wants to help her and that she can trust him. And Mariah says that she's going to confide in Kevin. The same way, by the way, it was like Kevin was telling Mariah that Mariah could trust him and tell him anything, in exactly the same way that Nick was telling Sharon that she could trust him and tell him everything. But I guess us all know it's ultimately not going to happen. Mariah starts close to kind of tell Kevin, but I mean, she's not gonna get a word in with like Sharon's crazy eyes hovering around her in every corner. Do unto others because they did it first. I loved that line. It was Chelsea. During last week's show, Chelsea and Adam were having their romantic lovemaking scene, and I think afterwards they were reflecting a little bit on their lives and who they are. And I believe, if I remember correctly, she said it kind of in a context of that's who we used to be, and now this is who we are. We used to be the kind of people who would say do unto others because they did it first. But now I think they're trying to take the high road. If I recall correctly, that's sort of what the context was, but it was most definitely Chelsea with that brilliant line of the week. And I think everybody who guessed that one got it right. You guys are just too good, too astute. Sean, Jamie, Nathalie, Aaron, Beatrice, Troy, Mary, Sandra, Austin and Naomi, Victoria, Sharita, Tanya, Connor, T. Nicole, and John Christopher all got that one right for the week. I am going to kick this up a notch and make it a little bit more challenging for next week's Who Said It quote, or for this week's Who Said It quote. I'm going to make your entries for Who Said It private, so that when you come on to leave your guess, you can't see what everybody else guessed. I gotta make it a little bit more challenging, because sometimes I think, well, maybe it jogs your memory once you see what somebody else has guessed. So we're gonna make it a little tougher this week, and we'll see how many people can get this week's quote right, which was, I should probably see a shrink. I think anybody on this show, by the way, should probably see a shrink. But there is most definitely only one person who said that exact line this week. I should probably see a shrink. And if you think you know who said it, you can go to yrchat.com. You can leave your guess. If you get it right at the website, then I will read your name and I will give you your moment of glory during next week's YNR chat. Just a little bit of casting gossip. I read an article this week, a couple of them actually, that said that Summer, the character of Summer, is going to be moving to recurring status. So we might not be seeing as much Summer as we are seeing now. And is it bad that I'm like not having a problem with that? I'm sort of okay if Summer just sort of maybe fades out into the background, because even when she's trying to be mature, it's just not hitting with me. I wish something's just not totally right there for me with her. Marianne left a really good comment on the website saying, I think Hunter King is a very good actress, but I find the character of Summer boring and annoying. I like the show overall now, but the most annoying story is trying to make Summer a business expert. It would be like having Lucy Ewing take over Ewing Oil on Dallas. I love that idea, or that comparison, Marianne. That was really funny to me. Oh, one other sort of like etc. note. You guys, Eileen Davidson has just celebrated her 57th birthday. That woman does not look 57 years old. I'm telling you, something like her and Laura Bell, they have the fountain of youth or something in their backyards, and they're keeping it from the rest of us, because, I mean, she just looks fabulous. All week I was thinking it too. I mean, I love Eileen Davidson, I love Ashley, and happy birthday to her. She looks incredible. Let's get to some comments here. Lots of pro Tori and Travis comments this week. I had a lot of people say, I really like Victoria and her new boyfriend. A lot of people are like, Travis is hot. A lot of people are like, they're very cute together, and I very much agree. Aaron on YouTube also kind of mentions, why is Victoria not allowed to have a break sometimes? Do they not have lunch breaks at Newman Enterprises? That made me laugh, because I've been thinking that too. It's like, why is everybody so down on Victoria for taking a moment here and there? It's kind of ridiculous. She's allowed to have her own life, okay? Everybody else does. Beatrice left me a voicemail who said, she says, who paid Travis's debt? I think Luca did. I I really, it kind of like came up and then went away, and I completely stopped thinking about that. But I'm really glad you mentioned it, because Travis was really ticked off at first that thinking that Victoria was the one who magically paid his debt and made it go away, but she denied having any involvement with it, and I just sort of whatever, stopped thinking about it. Then I got sucked into their cute little romance. But as Beatrice mentions, maybe it was Luca. I mean, the only people who we know for sure are connected to Travis at this point are Victoria and Luca, so I don't know who else to speculate it could even possibly be. I mean, shoot, maybe Luca is trying to set Travis up and say something like, see, he got this money out of nowhere, or maybe Luca's gonna make it look like he's connected to someone else dirty. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Or, I guess maybe the implication that Luca might be driving toward, if he did do it, was that perhaps Travis somehow instigated the oil rig thing and then bought up stock or sold stock or something and somehow financially benefited from it. Maybe that's the angle that Luca is taking if he's trying to set up Travis. I don't know. Lot of good comments, by the way, about Phyllis and Billy this week. Gina left me a voicemail saying, I've always thought that Phyllis and Jack were a mismatch. Billy and Phyllis do have chemistry, but where the chemistry really is with Phyllis and Nick. Ooh. Now, first of all, I've always liked Jack and Phyllis. I think I've just loved them from the beginning. But I gotta say, I thought that when we had the recast of Phyllis immediately, I sort of assumed that we were going to go back to a Phyllis and Nick relationship, because wasn't it Phyllis walking in during Nick and Sharon's wedding, and she also had on that white wedding dress? To me, I remember thinking at the time that Nick was just going to turn his head and go back to Phyllis, because that was always the main triangle, Phyllis and Nick and Sharon, and that kind of got dropped. I mean, Phyllis got shoved in with Jack, and then, where we are now. But I kind of like that idea, Gina, of possibly maybe doing a little chemistry test between Phyllis and Nick. We had a little bit of that with them talking about summer. Who knows? Maybe that is the direction they're going. Maybe you'll get lucky and get your wish. Connor left me a voicemail that absolutely had me rolling. Sometimes I wish I could play the voicemails for you guys to listen to, because you guys are funny. And Connor, I was literally laughing out loud. It was hilarious, but Connor was upset. He says, Billy and Phyllis are disgusting. Seeing Jack shower her with affection, he practically licks the ground she walks on, and for her to turn him down on their romantic weekend just to be with Billy, his screw-up little brother, it saddens me. Also, Connor says, Phyllis is a hypocrite. She and Nick are trying so hard to keep Summer and Luca apart. Why is it okay for Phyllis to say Summer can't be with Luca, but Phyllis can be with her husband's brother? Ooh. Marianne at yrchat.com says, for the long run, I like Jack and Phyllis, but I do think that Billy and Phyllis have great chemistry. In a way, I wish that they made this more of an emotional affair. I do like the fact that it was a slow burn, but I wish it would have been a slower burn. I would want Billy and Phyllis more if Jack was not in the picture. Now, I love this idea, Marianne, because I kind of want to throw this out to you guys. Any of the Billy and Phyllis fans, do you think that the romance would be as hot, or would you be as interested in it if it didn't come out of a product of an affair? Because I almost wonder if the affair really adds that element of interest. If it was just Billy and Phyllis coming out of nowhere, both single and getting involved, do you think we would like it as much? Or do you think the fans, the Philly fans would like it as much? Because I know Connor wouldn't feel that way. or Connor probably would have liked it better, because Connor was saying, I was open to the affair at first, and it's really more the betrayal with Jack that makes me not like it. But I wonder if for some people, the betrayal with Jack is kind of what makes them like it. I wonder. I don't know. I think that's what makes it interesting anyway. Becca at yrchat.com says, I love Billy and Phyllis. However, I do sympathize with Jack. For me, Phyllis and Jack haven't been the same since the current Phyllis was cast. I think that the current actors playing Billy and Phyllis have great chemistry, and I love watching them together on screen. Had this been another Billy with Michelle Stafford, I don't think that I would approve. Yes, Becca, that's exactly kind of what I was driving at the beginning. There does seem to be more of a chemistry between this particular Billy and Phyllis than I think there really would have been between the others. I cannot see Michelle Stafford and Billy Miller having this affair. I don't think that would have worked at all. Let's get into some Sharon scoop. Lot Folly, yrchat.com says, seeing Frankensage on today's program made me think about other Y&R characters who have reappeared after the program had knocked them off. John Abbott, of course, has enjoyed a long post-modem career. Are there others? Ooh, I love this question. I think someone had mentioned, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. Somebody had mentioned that Sabrina had kind of done a ghost haunting or come back as a ghost for a while after she died. I can't think of anybody else on the spot, but I love that question. Delia, I guess, had come back after Y&R had got rid of her character. Can you guys think of any more? I thought that would be a good question to toss out to the chatters this week. If you can think of any other ghost hauntings or people coming back from the dead and having a role after their character had died. If you can think of that, go to the leave me some comments this week and let me know. I love that question. You guys are probably going to pull stuff out that I never would have thought of. Gary left me a voicemail this week saying, I have a question for Ghost Sage. If you were pregnant and the doctor handed you your new baby who you loved and cared for 6 months, and then someone came back and said, oh, we made a mistake, would you just hand over the baby lickety split, no questions asked, no emotions? I don't think so. That's a very good point, and I think that it really does kind of speak to Sharon's entire point of view. Sharon was never completely wrong for the way she felt. Sharon was never completely wrong for the situation that she's in. Yet, I think that if everybody had a peanut gallery behind them judging all of the moves that they made in life, there would probably be a lot more disapproval. Because I think in Sharon's mind, there's just no good reason for telling the truth. Let's contrast that with Billy and Phyllis wanting to tell Jack about the truth. They tell the truth because they want to tell Jack the truth because they want the world to blow up. If you want the world to blow up secretly or overtly, you tell the truth. Sharon doesn't want to tell the truth because she wants to keep her world together. Gary also made a good point saying, Nick tells Sharon that she can tell him anything. Yeah, right. Like last time, she told him the truth and he dumped her. I got to mention that because, I mean, that was the end straw for Nick and Sharon. They were set to be married when Nick, when essentially Nick told Sharon, you got some kind of secret you want to tell me? Sharon finally opens up that she switched Summer's paternity test results, and then whammo, he says, no, sorry, I can't forgive you that. I could have forgiven you anything, but not that. So at least I suppose Sharon has learned her lesson about telling Nick the truth, even though he insists that he won't judge her for it. Oh, Jamie and Isabel left me a voicemail this week. Isabel and Jamie are mother and daughter, fans of Y&R chat. That's so good to hear from you guys. Jamie said, Sharon and Dylan are going to fall apart. It's inevitable. When the truth comes out, what's holding them together? So how about a fresh romance for Dylan with Bethany? Ooh, that's interesting, because I like Bethany too. I think there's something we could do with Bethany. What do you guys think about Dylan and Bethany? I'll tell you what, the other thing I was thinking was, if we were going to pair Bethany with someone, what about Nick? Wouldn't they kind of be cute together? She's sort of bubbly. He needs someone kind of fun and a little more carefree, maybe to match his personality. I kind of like that idea too. Also, thank you for calling in. I wish I could watch the show with my mom. She has said before, if anything, she'd go with General Hospital, which I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna pick up another soap. But and why would you watch anything else other than Y&R? But I think that's such a great kind of cool thing to be able to chat about. I love it. I love that you guys are watching together. Justin left me a voicemail this week about Ashley. I love this point, saying that Ashley is such a martyr. She always she's always taking the fall for the criminal things that she didn't do. John Abbott shot Tom Fisher, and Ashley said she did it. And then in 2011, Abby was driving in the car with Ashley in the passenger seat, and Abby had had too much to drink and ran over Tucker McCall, and Ashley took the lie and said she was driving. Also, I think that Allie should take over for Jill Farron-Phelps at YNR now that she's gone. I love your point of bringing back the history of Ashley taking the fall and me taking Jill Farron-Phelps' position. Would that work? I'll take it. I'll take the job. If YNR wants to make me executive producer, can you imagine? It would be a free-for-all. The kind of storylines I'd come up. Everything would be a twist. You know me. I love a twist. Anna left me a voicemail saying that she loves couple shakeups, which I do too, and that she's loving the idea of Hilary and Jack. So we got to get some comments on Hilary and Jack this week. I want to know what everybody's thinking about that. Are you guys pro, like Anna, of Hilary and Jack, or are you like totally not on board with that idea? NippyFan100 left me a voicemail saying, I don't think Hilary and Devon have any chemistry anymore. Yeah, that scene where Hilary was kissing on him and trying to make him forget that anything had happened with Jack, it fell a little flat for me too, honestly. When I see Hilary and Devon together now, I always think she's manipulating him. And so that kind of taints the relationship a little bit for me. Sandra at yrchat.com left us another little poem. I shall read it and hope I don't screw up the lines. Here we go. Hello, Sage. Such beauty, such rage. Lily's in a tizzy. Hilary's dizzy. Ashley confesses to a crime. Dylan's incredulous. Paul's suspicious. Neville's headed for the finish line. Phyllis, what did you do? On your knees, looking for your shoe. Hiding in the closet from Jack. You'll never get your marriage back. Victor reveals the diary is fake. About time, for goodness sake. Bribery, forgery, fraud, that's big. Wait, was that Chloe in a wig? Yay! Bravo! Bravo! A round of applause for Sandra's brilliant poems. I like that line about Phyllis never getting her marriage back. Burn! And on that Chloe note, Lauren R. left me a comment at yrchat.com saying, okay, so is it Chloe who's meeting in secret with Victor about Sage's journal? I don't know. I mean, it didn't even occur to me till you said that it could possibly have been Chloe. Because to me, I was looking at the hands thinking it looked like a little girl's hands. It just that like they were unmanicured, kind of like they were short nails without any nail polish on or anything, and then they seemed short fingers. I don't know who it was. I really don't. Daisy on Facebook says, unless Victor was imagining things. We know he's setting up Adam. I think they are making it look like Chloe, but I'm not convinced it's her. If Chloe does come back, she may be returning to let her daughter's father know about her, but I cannot imagine that Chloe would put herself anywhere near Victor, then do his bidding. I don't know. Sean at yrchat.com also says, I was thinking that it was Natalie who was the other woman. And that's actually the only thought that occurred to me too, Sean. I didn't think Chloe. I immediately thought maybe Natalie. But unless Natalie would have to know all along, I guess, that Victor was her father, because there was sort of this vibe of, I'm trusting you to get this job done, was sort of how Victor approached it. So it was someone he obviously knew or has known, and I was thinking Natalie too. I can't think of anybody else who it could be. T. Nicole at yrchat.com says, I'm getting annoyed at Meredith and her complete naive loyalty to Victor. With pretty much everyone she runs into, they all warn her about the true Victor Newman. She won't hear it, and she automatically defends him and thinks everyone else doesn't understand. I'm not saying she needs to completely change her opinion of him right off the bat, but at least be open-minded and consider what these people are saying of him who have known him for years while she's only known him for a few months. I have to agree with you there, T. Nicole, because Meredith is just looking worse and worse by the minute. I mean, I understand you feel compelled to Victor, but she's not really even looking into the possibility that he might be lying. All she hears is that he's the victim, and that's what she goes with. And I just keep wondering, again, my suspicious mind, is there any chance that there's more to her? Is there any chance that she's working an alternate agenda? Because it's just so wildly naive that it's almost hard to imagine. I did see, by the way, I looked on the actress's Wikipedia because I was dying to know. Her name is something Coppola. I can't think of what her first name was, but I looked her up because I was dying to know if she was like of the famous Coppola family, which she is not. But I also saw that she hosted this, I don't know if anybody will remember this, but she hosted this little MTV game show, probably like late 80s, called Remote Control. It was a fabulous show. I loved it. Like, I mean, I'm little Allie watching this show on MTV, but it was like a quiz show about TV. I guess I've always kind of liked TV, but I remember they showed like little clips and things, and you sat in this chair and they showed you clips, and I think you had to guess what they were. I'm pulling this all from memory because it's been a while, but it was sort of obscure, and she was like one of the hostesses. I think I could be, again, completely wrong, but I want to say like Colin Quinn was the host, and she was sort of the pretty lady on the side. I had no idea that was her, but it was really kind of a fun like jog to my memory that that's who she was. And of course, most of you probably know her from her other work on soaps and stuff, but that was new to me, and I enjoyed it. So I mean, is she sticking around? I'd like to see her stick around, but I think we're gonna need to see the awakening of Meredith. Okay, without further ado, I think it's time to give away some soap. I'm sure it's what you've all been waiting for if you haven't already completely skipped the Y&R chat just to get to this part, which I wouldn't blame you. But what I'm gonna do is go hands-free. I wanna get the camera off its tripod and show you the actual live drawing for the soap. I have all your names written down, and I think it's just like funner that way. So I'm gonna say goodbye on the Y&R chat part for now. Let you guys know that you can, of course, leave me your comments at yrchat.com. You can from there find the YouTube and Facebook page if you'd prefer to leave comments there, or as always, 309-588-4569 is where I listen to your wonderful comments after you've left them for me, and your passionate comments. Those are always fun to listen to, and I will, of course, be back next week to chat again about our show, but for right now, let's give away some soap. Okay, soap fans, the time has come to pick a winner for the summer 2016 Genoa City Soap giveaway. Yay! So if you entered the giveaway at genoacitysoap.com, you got to pick which soap you wanted to win. Victor, Nikki, Sharon, or Nick, and if you win the drawing, you win the soap. So of course I have all of your names written down on the soap bubbles here, and I'm just gonna shuffle them up and pick a winner. I was kind of surprised this time, I guess, I don't know why, that most people, or the soap that was the most popular was the Nick soap. I kind of thought people were gonna just gobble up the Sharon's, although Sharon did get quite a bit of love, and Nikki and Victor got some fans out there too, so that was fun for me to see which ones you guys liked the best. So, well, without further ado, let's pick a winner. You know I like to get these shuffled up real good here. All right. Why don't we just be wild and crazy, and instead of one winner, why don't we pick two? I'm sure you guys aren't going to object to that. In fact, since I've got my pretty little green and blue soap bubbles here, why don't we pick one blue and one... I'll go over here. What this one? One blue and one green. Oh, I'm having way too much fun here. Okay, so are you ready to see if you won? Let's do the green one first. The winner, Victoria! Oh my goodness, she got the Victor soap again! You must be the luckiest girl in the world, Victoria. Oh my goodness, that is a second win for a Victor soap. How cool. And I know she's going to be especially excited because she's getting married. This is probably for her man. Victor is a very good man soap. So well done, you lucky girl. So many jealous people right now, I think. Let's see who our second winner is now. Who will it be? Who will it be? It is... Oh, ho, ho! It's Char who got the Nikki soap. Oh, man, Victor and Nikki getting some love, sitting in a tree there. Yay! Congratulations, my friends, Victoria and Char. I think you're going to like these. Of course, you know me, I'm a little partial. Oh boy, you guys are awesome. Thanks to everybody who entered. I also thought I'd show you because I got so many comments about the sage soap that I mentioned that I wanted to make that I kind of abandoned plans for when Sage died. I didn't have time to make the sage soap, but I did make a sage lotion. I was kind of going in a salty tears, watery sort of direction for kind of the tragedy that became her character. And this was a month before she died. But I thought it was such a beautiful fragrance that I really didn't want it to go completely to waste. And my original plan, of course, was to make Dylan and Sharon and Sage and Nick as summer soaps. But then I kind of got distracted and Sage died, and I made a whole nother video showing you and talking a little bit more about these lotions. I decided to make an Ashley lotion too, as well as a Neil. Surprise! I just didn't have time to get everything done that I wanted to get done for summer soaps, and I'm already working on fall soaps, but these guys are all going to be at the pop-up shop at GenoaCitySoap.com. So if you didn't win, I'm going to put the extras up there if you still want a chance to try these out. I only have a few of each, so if you're dying to get them, you might want to grab them today. But I will definitely be back for another giveaway for fall soaps. So stay tuned. I think those are going to be pretty fabulous. And of course, you can always go to GenoaCitySoap.com and to check out the blog, and you can see photos and all that good stuff there too. So again, congratulations to my friends Victoria and Char. I think you guys are going to be lathering up with these guys probably here within the next couple weeks. I'll get them into the mail for you tomorrow. Okay, everybody, thanks again to everybody who participated. I love ya, and I'll see ya next time, possibly even for the secret giveaway drawing that comes next.